Hi everyone. Today, let's talk about Peloton. First, I'll talk about the federal government warning against their treadmill, which seems to be the news surrounding Peloton right now. Then I'll go over my technical analysis for Peloton. Then I'll go over my thoughts on my current position in Peloton. If you like trading stocks and options and making money, definitely like and subscribe. I make short-term trading videos like this as well as overall portfolio overviews every single week. So make sure you hit the bell so you don't miss out on any future content. Welcome to the Portfolio Bulletin. Let's get started. So the feds issued a warning on the Peloton treadmill due to some concerns around a child's death. They said that households with children and pets should stop using this Peloton Treadmill Plus immediately because they feel that it poses a threat to children while they're doing an investigation around one death as well as several other injuries around the exercise equipment. And this warning comes 1 month after Peloton urged people to keep their kids and pets away from the exercise equipment surrounding that death. Then they show a video of a child being trapped underneath. This was not the child that died. This was another incident that was caught on tape where the child actually escaped. But it shows a similar trend here where kids and various objects are being sucked underneath this treadmill, posing a safety hazard. The CEO also issued a warning saying that he urged people to keep their kids and pets away from the exercise equipment last month, and restated the fact that the treadmill is designed for people who weigh more than 105 pounds and are 16 years or older. I do want to give this a little bit more context here, so if you've never seen the Treadmill Plus, you can see that it's relatively high off of the ground, and it has this wide rounded edge which seems to allow things to get under here a little bit more easily than they would on a traditional treadmill, which I guess is what they're referencing here. For reference here, looking at the upcoming regular Peloton Tread, you can see it's much closer to the ground, and it has this kind of blocking mechanism here that doesn't allow things to get underneath. So it's similarly high, but they did adjust the design to make sure that things couldn't slip under here quite as easily. Perhaps they understood that this was a little bit of a danger on the other one, or maybe it's just because this is the cheaper version, and this tread material seems to be a little bit less cushioned, which is one of the appeals of the more expensive treadmill. But I also want to talk about the fact that it says here that 22,500 treadmill-related injuries were treated in emergency rooms in 2019, and 17 deaths also took place in that year, and around 2,000 of those involved children under the age of 8. And one of those deaths was a child age 5. So what I'm really saying here is that this is not a unique problem to Peloton, at least right now. There are lots of treadmill-related injuries around the country every single year, and it's hard to say whether the Tread Plus is uniquely dangerous apart from other treadmills that also seem to injure people quite regularly. It seems to me that if the treadmill is used properly, which it does have an activation key which should be removed from the treadmill when not in use by an adult, within the parameters that they mentioned above the age of 16 and above the weight of 105 pounds, that it seems like this treadmill is not uniquely dangerous in any given way. Of course, it's hard to say whether the government is going to issue a recall order for any reason, which would obviously be devastating to the company as well as the stock price. And if you are concerned about that, you could definitely stay away from the stock at least for a little bit until they determine whether there's going to be any kind of recall. Moving over to my technical analysis here, looking at the daily chart, it's obviously had a massive run since March of last year, representing around 700% gains if you bought it at the lows of March. But even if you bought it anytime after that, you've made some pretty decent gains until the last few months where there's potential to be in a losing position. On the daily chart, you can see we've established a little bit of a trend line here, and we've reacted to that here recently in March, as well as the support level of the big round number of $100, which we interacted with here in March and again later in March. I do have my own price divergence indicator here, which gives me the percent difference from the moving averages to the current price, which right now we're just slightly below, around 5% below the moving averages, meaning we're not overextended in any given direction. But even looking back at price history here, we can get pretty overextended all the way up to around 30% in December. Moving down into the 4-hour chart, you can see we are in a bear trend, but it seems like we're finding some support from that trend line that I mentioned previously, and we are still staying above that big round number of 100. And it seems to me like we're going to find some support and have some upward movement from here, assuming that we don't get that recall. Moving over to my current position, you can see I've sold the $100 puts, purchased the $90 puts, and I got a credit of $187 for that, representing a little bit over $800 in risk, with the potential to make that $187. As long as the price is over $100 at expiration, I will make that full profit, and I'm comfortable here selling at that $100 level, as I believe that is a very strong source of support for this stock. Again, assuming that we don't get the recall. If we do get a recall, I think we will break down below that level, but I don't think I'll be able to get out of this position if that happens, as it would probably be a pretty violent move. So if you are in a position with Peloton, understand that if there is news surrounding a recall, the stock will probably move violently to the downside, which might be a play in and of itself. Buy some cheap puts, and if you get a very strong move on some news to the downside, there is a chance you could make some money there. But obviously, it's pretty hard to predict if that's going to happen. Let me know down in the comment section what you think of this treadmill. Is it uniquely dangerous, and do you think there will be a recall? Or is this just another one of the thousands of treadmill accidents that happen every single year, just like we saw in 2019? Like and subscribe if you got any value out of this video. Make sure you hit the bell so you don't miss out on future content. Of course, none of this is financial advice. This is all for entertainment purposes, and have a great day.